Hi everyone! So I went onto my YouTube page the other day and I realized that I hadn't made a video for quite some time. In fact, in the past 4 months I really only made one video. Well, I have some time now. Finally finished the semester, so pretty happy about that. Well, what do we have here? Here's my little mini collection, if you will, just to give you a good size comparison. Here's my hand, and I've already done a review on this guy, Spyderco Dragonfly. Absolutely love it. The mini AA from 4/7. I'll be doing a review on this guy soon. Absolutely love this, my new EDC light. But we're not talking about this either. So what are we going to talk about? The Spyderco Squeak. This is a little knife. Absolutely love this guy. In the area where I reside in, I don't really have very many knife restriction laws in terms of blade length or in terms of the ability to have a locking blade. Although, albeit there are a lot of restrictions in terms of being able to carry firearms, unfortunately, but that's a different issue entirely. So this is a non-locking blade, so why did I get this even though I don't really have restrictions in terms of being able to carry a locking folder? I find that when I'm using the knife, actually, the fact that I can actually control essentially when the blade closes with my thumb here, I feel like I actually have more control of the blade, and I must say it's a very nice feeling. It's interesting because it's almost like the knife actually becomes an extension of your hand, if you will. So let's do a bit of a size comparison here, just to show you how small this guy actually is, to which it actually gets its name, Squeak. So there's the Spyderco Dragonfly right there. So here we have a Spyderco Cricket as well, right there. And let's give a bit of a better comparison here. We have what most people will consider a small, maybe venturing into the medium-sized knife, the Delica. And man, the Delica trumps the little Squeak. Let's put in the Spyderco Manix 2. Whew, that's quite a bit bigger. It's more or less is like the grandfather of this one in terms of blade size. So let's get on to the specifics of the knife. Let's start with the handle. One of the things that really strikes me about the Spyderco Squeak is essentially that it looks like G10, it almost feels like G10, but it's not G10. In fact, it's simply fiberglass reinforced nylon. And the stippling pattern that it has, as Spyderco has stated, was that they wanted to make it feel like G10. And I thought that was a very interesting notion that they put out there, because I felt a lot of different stippling patterns on FRN, and quite honestly, it's very hard to make fiberglass reinforced nylon feel like G10, but in this specific case, it come pretty close. So let's take a bit of a closer look on the actual texturing and see how it compares with G10. So let's do a little bit of zooming. So as we see here, here's the texturing on the Spyderco Squeak. As you see, we have some repeating squares right here. And this is a nice opportunity to take a look at the actual handles itself. Very nice. Very nice rounded edges here. But as we're looking at right here, we have the texturing here. This is of the Squeak. And let's bring in, let's say, the Spyderco Dragonfly. Direct comparison on the top here. I'm trying to squeeze it in here. The actual Dragonfly itself, they do have the repeating pattern here. However, they're more or less a bit more circular, if you will. And let's compare it with another form of G10. This is the Manix 2. Alright, so you can see it slightly, mind the reflection there. They actually also have the repeating squares, although the squares are slightly elongated. So it's interesting because the way I perceive it is that they kind of have a combination of the shape and texturing of the Mannix 2 combined with the shape and texturing of the Dragonfly. And what do you get? Get this little darling child right here. You get the Squeak. So with that said, it's almost like saying the texturing is a combination of those two. So what exactly does that do in terms of practicality? Well, essentially, when you're lightly rubbing against the handle right here, I find that it feels, I wouldn't say soft, but I wouldn't say that the texture is very, I guess, appealing. It's not too rough, and quite honestly, it feels like FRN. However, with that said, I find that with this specific patterning right here, when you push hard into the handle, when you're doing firmer and more, I guess, hard use tasks, if you will, I find that the grip is essentially gets activated here, and it feels really nice. It really does rival G10. So that was a very pleasant surprise. And let's go on to another part of the handle now. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we have nice, smooth, rounded corners. Very, very nice. There are absolutely no hot spots on this knife whatsoever, and that's a very pleasant surprise here. It has a tip-up clip, tip-up position clip, wire clip. Absolutely love the wire clip, and something I thought was very, very nice of Spyderco to do was put that little Spidey logo right there. So you get it so that the point of contact between the wire clip and the handle is actually smooth right underneath. So what does that do? It makes it so it's easy to retrieve and put back into your pocket, and you don't have to worry about wear on your pockets. That's a really nice feature right there. Alright, so we spent quite a bit of time just talking about the handle. Let's move on to the blade itself. So one of the things that drew me to this knife was the fact that, one, because I haven't had a knife that was made in Mariago, Italy, hope I pronounced that right, from Spyderco before, nor have I tried the N690, see if you can read that there, the Spyderco N690 Cobalt Steel, or CO Steel. And some people indicated that they believed that it was similar in terms of performance to VG10, and I have to say that actually seems pretty accurate, although I find that the blade, the edge retention actually seems to last a little bit, very slightly longer than VG10, which was actually quite surprising to me. And I've actually haven't had the chance to haven't had the need to sharpen this yet, and I was pretty surprised about that. It seems to perform very similar to VG10. That's good enough for me, as a lot of the EDC knives I use are actually VG10 as well. Another thing that really drew me to it was the fact that when you're grabbing the knife and you actually put it into your hand, it feels very, very nice. Although, even with my size hands, I find that my pinky more or less actually just rides on the corner here, on the end, on the butt end here. So I'm sure that most of you guys won't be able to get that full 4-finger grip here, and unfortunately it doesn't allow you to have or attach a lanyard. So with that said though, considering these 3 fingers, well 3.5 if you will, and you're actually putting on the full grip right here, I find that it actually is very, very comfortable, and that's a very nice thing to see for sure. Just to let you know, I have used this knife for several months in my EDC, and I have not sharpened this, so I'm not really sure how it will do. Wow, it's cutting very, very well. Well, there's my first little cutting demonstration there. I know it was rather short, but I'll try to think of something a little more creative next time. Notable things would be the fact that it lacks a lanyard hole. The bevel itself is not very wide, which is a bit disappointing. The jimping is not too sharp, but it is still usable, that's for sure. But I must say those things can be overlooked because of its nice, familiar ergonomics, the very high and well-functioning steel, as well as the nice, controllable, non-locking aspect of it. I know some of you guys may not like the non-locking feature that it has, but I absolutely adore it. So there's my video review of the Spyderco Squeak. Thank you so much for all of you guys that have stayed tuned to my channel. I'm going to try my best to make more videos. Definitely really enjoying this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.